Whether you keep them in your home or love to see them in theirs, these are the creatures that bring us all together.
Reptiles. We're going to be delving into the experiences of reptile lovers from around the block and around the world. This is the Reptile Talk Podcast.
Boom. What is going on, everybody? This is Jeremy Turgeon from Brassman Reptiles.
And I'm Rob, and I'm creeping a reel.
And I damn near choked taking a sip of my drink watching Rob dance in the little square.
You gotta be dancing, bro. You gotta have some fun with your life. We are here, but a small glimpse, just a glimmer in the eye of the world. And if you're not spending time dancing and having a good time,
look, I'm
missing out.
I'm all for it. I'm in the middle. We are in the first day of spring. And
yes, March 21st. Today is my sister's birthday. Happy birthday to Amy.
Hey, happy birthday, Amy.
Hey.
I am already dealing with the insufferable North Carolina allergy season. So,
bro, the pollen this year has been crazy.
Yeah. So if I randomly mute myself and then appear to be hacking up a lung on the on the screen, that's exactly what's happening. Oh gosh, yeah, man. But how are you doing, Rob? It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's been a little bit, but I'm doing pretty good. I found my first copperhead of the season yesterday, which was pretty tight. Yeah. There's this area that I suspected was a denning area for them, kind of close to my house, and I saw some in fall, and I was like, okay, this kind of looks like a little den area. It looks like it's got a rock pile that goes down in there, and I was like, I'm just gonna come back here in the springtime and just like look. And boom, what do you know? Good sized copperhead just chilling right there. And it's kind of been chilly this week, but it's been sunny. So I feel like they're probably coming out, catching a little bit of that sun in the early day, and then, retreating back into there for the evening time. And then also got my black box cages order in, so I'm going to be making a trip down there to pick up some new scrub enclosures here in the not so distant future. That's to say, this show this evening is brought to you by Black Box Cages. If you need a rack or a cage, make sure that you hit them up. One of the quickest turnaround times in the game. Not only that, they've got so many different options for their enclosures. And they have got just like top of the line, really nice stuff. So if you're thinking about getting a cage or a rack, make sure that you hit up Black Box Cages.
That's it. And you got to let me know when you're going to take that trip, because I'll jump on there with you.
Dude, I was like, okay, if I'm going to be making this trip, I might as well spend a little bit of time down there and do some herping while I'm down there and see if I can't find some stuff.
Heck yeah, dude. Heck yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And then, Saturday, we got our Herp Society trip down to the Venom Central Serpent Center.
Yes, I can't wait for that.
Dude, that is going to be a blast. I'm super excited. The people who I've been talking to who are going are really excited for it. So this should be a really cool trip to take,
Heck yeah. It's a great kickoff to spring, man. That's what
yeah, buddy.
I'm here for
Hell
it.
Yeah.
I'm all here for it, dude.
So what you been up to? What are you doing?
Man, I am being destroyed by pollen, but but no, overall I'm good, man. Just back from the Tinley March Tinley Expo, which was insane.
I saw videos, looked crazy.
Dude, it was absolutely nuts. I don't know what the official numbers were as far as heads through the door, but man, when I tell you the line Saturday, so before I get to that, like March, most of us know that like March is like the smaller of the two.
The chiller show, yeah.
Yeah, it's the chiller show. Like people maybe are getting, if they got an early clutch of ball pythons or something, or like carpets or something, maybe they got a couple new
stuff that's left over from last year.
Exactly, it's the residuals. There were so many people through the door, you'd have thought it was October. I mean, the weather's about the same, but for Chicago. But dude, I was shocked. So if you go to the US Arc Instagram, shout out to US Arc, of course, always. you'll see a glimpse where like I'm walking down that main hallway to get to the line to get your ticket. I didn't even get like a third down the hall, and it's just people. And that line went out the door. It was insane. Yeah. For like general admission, like there's just a crowd of people in that little foyer. And Brian Potter was like, he had yelled to the guys at the security at the door for doing security, and they're like, just let him in. Like, we need so just let him in. It was freaking insane, dude. But yeah, fun times for sure. But outside of that, man, just pairing up Amazon's got a couple ball python clutches that'll be due in the next month or so. DG clown stuff and whatever. Yeah, cool, some cool things. It's okay. There's Spider in there just to irritate folks. So it's
oh no, I like that. That means they're going to be even cooler. So
exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm with the exception of being obliterated by the spring allergy season, I'm doing pretty damn good.
Dude, hell yeah.
So,
hell yeah.
But
That's
I'm
tight.
super stoked for tonight. Our guest, Jared Carmichael, we're going to be talking about a bunch of cool colubrid species, herp photography. It's going to be a bunch of different stuff. So without further ado, let's get him in here. Bam. What's going on, dude?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Doing pretty good, man.
I'm really excited to have you on tonight, man. You are working with so much cool stuff, and stuff that not a lot of people are focused on. So I'm hyped to have you on.
Well, thanks for having me.
Heck yeah, man.
Hell yeah. For people who might not know about you or heard about you, if you could give a quick how you got to where you're at right now, and then kind of what species you're currently working with, that would be great.
I started as a kid. I had a garter snake called Stumpy who got ran over by a lawnmower and had a stump tail.
Oh damn!
So I kept him for a few weeks and let him go, but that kind of really got me hooked, and I always would catch frogs and turtles and snakes and keep them for a while, and then when winter came, I'd let everything go. I did actually have a garter snake that got frozen in the water bowl outside before I was able to let it go, and
damn!
We thawed it out, and it was like
perfectly fine.
It was perfectly fine. It was, I don't know, that was like a pretty wild experience. I kept it over the winter and then let it go in the spring.
Dang.
And then high school, I got a ball python and then another ball python, and the ball pythons never really did too great in my bedroom setup. It would get a little cold for them, I think. And then I got a couple boas, and the boas always ate. They were hardy. Don't need an incubator.
Yep.
And, from there, there's a pet shop in Bridgewater, and I still see the guy around. Rob, you might know him. He's like a shorter guy. He used to work at Noah's.
Yep. I'm pretty sure his name is Scott.
I thought it was like Brandon, or I don't know. Maybe it's Scott. Maybe, but he's like a firefighter in Brockton. But he used to do berms and stuff. And
yep.
He was like my gateway into like the weird stuff.
Yeah.
He'd be like, oh,
yeah.
I like was in between jobs. I had like 2 jobs. I was going to EMT school, and like I got rid of a bunch of boas, and I had a bunch of cages. And he was like, "Oh, let me set you up with some cool stuff." And he like gave me like a chameleon once. He gave me a pair of Timor monitors.
Yeah.
Viper bow. Just I don't know, a bunch of like cool stuff that was like cheap then. You probably can't even like get now. Like, I don't know when the last time I saw Timor monitors were. But
for real,
probably took it for granted. And then I got out of it for a while, and then I just had a near and dry carpet python for like, I don't know, years and years and years. And then about 5 years ago, I got back into it and made a reptile room, and here we are.
Heck yeah.
Hell yeah.
How fast it can go from I'm just going to dabble back into things to I got a whole room of these things now.
Yeah, it's ugly. It's not.
Oh man.
I really need to like downsize and focus.
Nonsense. Keep
Yeah.
everything that you
Nonsense.
Yeah.
Oh
Bro, I
man, that's
remember going to that pet store when I went to Bridgewater, and I would go there like when I just had some downtime. And there was one time where he's like, "Hey man, I got some like extra like bigger snakes down in the basement. Will you go feed them for me?" And I remember going down there, and dude, those snakes were like gnarly. They like not bad looking, but they were like, "I'm coming for you." And
Yeah.
so I remember one time one like almost caught my hand, and I was like, okay, I need to be a little more careful when I'm doing
Yeah.
this.
Oh man.
Oh man, yeah,
Yeah, it was crazy. I'd give him $25 and he'd come back with all this crazy stuff, and I don't know, you can't like, even like get any of it now. Like I don't know, like what was it, the white lip pythons and like
yep,
cloth
Mhm.
pythons, like all that stuff was trash. And now it's
yep,
like you can't get it.
yep.
So true, man. So true.
Yeah, I remember that shit.
I
That shit was
remember
crazy.
one of like the Massachusetts Reptile Expos, they had like water pythons for $50.
Yep.
Ah.
You want to hear something that'll hurt your heart?
Yeah.
I remember going to the White Plains show, and this was kind of like when I was getting into keeping a lot of bloods and short tails. And Regal Reptiles had a Bismarck ring python, a female aberrant Bismarck ring python that was like maybe 2.5 foot long, and
Mm.
they wanted $200 for it. And I took it out, and I was
Ah.
like, "Man, this thing's cool! This thing is so cool!" And I knew the guy who was running at the time, and he was like, "Dude, I see you all the time. If you want it, I'll do like 150." And I was like,
I don't
uh,
know.
I'm gonna look around. I kind of want to get some blood pythons right now, so I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna pass on this, bro. I still kick myself over that because I know that
Ah.
on my Facebook I have pictures of it. So it's like recently enough where I would have pictures on Facebook of it, and I turned down a $150 beautiful apparent Bismarck ring
Ah.
Yeah.
python, and that makes me sick to my stomach every time I think about it.
Rob, when I see you Saturday, I might hit you.
That's okay. I deserve it. Even 10 years, 15 years later, I still deserve it.
Yeah.
Only because they've only gone up in price tenfold.
Yeah, 150 fold, like
Right.
crazy.
And like, can you even like get your hands on them? Like,
Not
It's
really. I mean,
so
there's
few
like
and far between, man.
there's like two people who are breeding them on any sort of regularity. So, it
Yeah.
is what it is. But
Uh,
you've had some success with like the red tail green rats, right?
yeah. I the past 3 years I've got eggs every year. This year I have 3 pairs together, so I'm hoping I
Dude,
can get some. I have 3 eggs in the incubator, but that's all I have so far this year for red-tailed green rats.
that's still huge, man. Like not a lot of people
it
working
is.
with those, or there's a couple people who might have one, but there's not people who are like really, really breeding them.
Well, so that's kind of what started. I wanted them, and I couldn't get my hands on them, and
Yep.
then I got my hands on like a couple of the silver phase,
Hmm.
and then I don't know. I was like, oh, I want to try to breed these, and of course, I kept buying like females, and they were all females with hemipenes,
Yep.
and I
Yep.
kept buying them, and finally got like a group together, and then one would die. But I don't know. I feel like it's like you gotta like just source good ones, and they either do really well or they do really terrible quickly. There's like doesn't seem to
Right.
be much in between. It's like they crash and burn really quick, or they do really well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that when it comes to that sort of thing, that importation process is really, really hard on them. And I think that because there isn't a huge emphasis on them, it seems like they don't get as much attention as like the higher dollar animals. So people
Yeah,
are less likely to, set them up and spend extra time taking care of them in the importation process.
yeah,
And so when you get them, you have to do all this like extra stuff
yeah,
to try and get them back on the right track, and sometimes you just get to them too late.
yeah. Which was like discouraging at first, because like
Yeah.
I always tell people, I'm like, yeah, they're like the most expensive cheap snake I ever had, because you get them in, you give them all this attention, and then they just crash and burn, and then you
Yeah.
got to start over.
Yeah.
and then they crash and burn, and you start over. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I have like a good group going, and then last year I had like 2 unrelated clutches of eggs, so I got like unrelated pairs into like a bunch of people's hands. So I don't know.
Dude.
That'll be cool.
Heck yeah.
Eventually, hopefully, they start doing better. And there's like a little group on Facebook, and there's like a couple people working with them and trying to get stuff going. So
Mhm.
we'll see what happens over the next few years.
Dude, hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I feel like people just don't know enough about them to really be into them because people love green snakes. Like green snakes are top tier, people
Yeah.
go crazy for them. And then it's like, people like colubrids. They're super hard, once they're established and everything, they're super hardy. They're like, and they're the arboreal, so like it's got all these different factors that would make it such like an ideal snake for people to get into that want something a little different, something a little bigger, something a little more display oriented. And I feel like they don't get the attention that they deserve when it comes
I
to
think the
that.
problem is like people want to get them. The ones you get aren't in great shape, and people want to play with them. And I don't
Yeah,
know. I've kind of been treating them like a fish. Like you look at it, you
put them
don't
in
touch
there.
it, let it be.
Yeah,
I feel like that's
yeah,
a good rule of thumb for most imported things in general. Just kind of like set it and forget it.
Yeah.
Like it needs to establish, and you poking and prodding at it is
doesn't
doing the
help.
exact opposite.
Even like the simple stuff, like the boas. Like I've always noticed, like over the years, like there's like certain parts of the season where you're like all over your animals, and then there's other seasons where like you're giving them less attention. And I almost feel like snakes do better when you're giving them less attention. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, but everyone wants to play with them, which I get it. I have snakes I play with, and then there's snakes I leave alone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
I think that when they do a little bit more research and looking at because I know that they're just starting to do research on like some monitor lizards and stuff and testing cortisol levels in them due to stress from being kept and the way that they're kept and blah, 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 blah. I think that will play a role in, follicle development and in successful breeding and all that sort of stuff. So, don't get me wrong, being in the wild is a stressful environment, but also having a giant, alien grab you up
yeah,
every day and pet your face and, trying to get past that instinctual, genetic desire to want to run away is a whole different thing than just being in the wild.
I also feel like all these people in these Facebook groups like are there's only one way to do this. You have to
Yeah.
do it this way. If you keep your animal in a tub, you're an animal abuser. Where like, I don't know. I feel like it is really situational. Like my snake, like my like baby colubrids, I have in tubs, but like the adults, I do have in cages. But
Mhm.
Mhm.
I started them in cages when I didn't have a snake room, like up in my house, and they did terrible, and they
Yep.
did better in the tubs. Like if they're in an area where like people are walking around all the time, and like I do think it's appropriate. I get it, they're an arboreal snake, but I feel like it's more beneficial to them to like keep them hidden and feeling safe than keeping them stressed out, because like they are a snake that will stress themselves to death. They'll smash
Mhm.
the side of the cage, they'll dart. Like you gotta like let them feel like they're not being seen.
Yeah. I think that does play a huge role. I remember when I was in Maine, uh, trying to breed Amazon tree boas with Jason Chapman up there. Like the stuff that we tried to keep in cages, we could not get them to reproduce. Man, we tried a couple different cages, and then throw them in tubs, babies. Like right away. It's like you know, racks have their place, cages have their place. I think the people who think that it has to be one way or the other are um, kind of shutting themselves off to, I feel like when people have such a stringent mindset on things like that, they are ultimately hurting their own knowledge because there's so many things you can
100%.
learn from people who keep in racks, and there's so many things you can learn from people who keep things in fully planted bioactive enclosures. And there's this line that you can kind of ride, and certain animals do better in one, certain animals do better in the other, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and there's also that element of individuality, right? Like sometimes you have an individual animal within a species that's just like, no, man, I know ball pythons typically do better in racks, but I've had mine in a 4x2x18 cage, and it's thriving.
Yeah,
And
like that's great.
I agree with that too. Like you can make almost anything work. Like I have, like some of the red-tailed green rat snakes won't eat unless they are in an enclosed space. So like I have like a bunch of these, like I forget the brand, but they're like Tupperware containers. Like it's a little bit bigger than a 6-quart Tupperware container, and half the lid flips up. So I stick those in there and leave one of the lids flipped out. I use them as nest boxes, but I also, like the snakes I keep together, when one of them's in there, I'll close it, defrost the mice.
Yeah, feed the other one. Yeah,
Slap one in the little box, feed the other one. They're separated while they're eating. If it's a shyer animal that won't eat it, if I just like leave it somewhere in the cage, it needs like time. It has its time. It has its personal space. I don't know. There's more than one way to skin a cat. People, I just feel like need to be more open-minded.
Yeah, literally, I set up some of my grow up scrubs in my room in like 12 by 12 by 18 or 12, 18, 18, 24 enclosures in here, but they're glass. And I had like a few people message me and they're like, you keep them in glass enclosures? And I was like, well, like I don't spend a whole ton of time in my room. I spend like a little bit of time in my room, but I don't spend like a ton of time in my room. And the snakes that I've got in these enclosures are all like, I've not seen any like disturbance in their feeding schedule. They all shed perfectly. They, two of them have been in these enclosures for, I don't know, almost a year now, and the other ones have been in there for almost a month now. And I've got one of them that's really shy, that like it basks when I'm not in the room, and then when I come in the room it goes and hides. But all the rest of them sit right out in the open, do not care. They're perched up. They come right to the glass to see what I'm doing. They like don't care at all. And from some of the other people I know who keep scrubs, they're like, oh man, I could never, my snakes just would not do that. And they're like, how do you keep humidity? I'm like, I'm in North Carolina, man. The air is humid here. Like,
it's humid enough.
It is so humid.
Yeah, my like oldest pair of the red-tailed green rat snakes I have are in Exoterra. They're in one of those 18 by 18 by or 18 by 36 by 36.
Yeah, the big ones. Yep.
I wish I had a bunch of them. They're my favorite. I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to keep humid, but I have a hose in my room, so it's like
literally, it's
I'll
like
just spray them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. Like, and people online will give me, oh, it's in a glass cage. Like, okay, go keep your hamster.
Yeah, are you breeding them? That's what I thought.
Yeah, right.
It's like people just are like so invested in what everyone else is doing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the other thing too, and like we've certainly talked about it a lot on this podcast, like just discussing the humidity, like where you live plays a difference in how you maintain those parameters, but knowing how to mitigate those situations. Like you're in Massachusetts, so it's going to get drier than it will here in North Carolina. So what you got a hose, you spray it down. It's not that big of a freaking deal, man. So yeah, it goes back to what we were just saying before. Like there's more than one way to skin a cat, but husbandry practices are going to vary in different parts of the country. So when people lose their minds and like Facebook groups and stuff like that, it's just like you have no idea. Like your sample size is very small.
If I'm keeping something up in my house, I keep it totally different than how I'd like keep it in my snake room, because like it's a totally different environment.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people don't take that into consideration at all.
And you know what I remember? I remember doing like the nerd tour, and you guys had like a bunch of. They look like lockers with like little screen boxes on the top, and they were labeled tiger rat snakes. And I was like, I wonder So when they're doing these tours, these snakes aren't freaking out because there's a million people in these rooms, and like, I don't know, they're just like, you gotta like problem solve the individual like species instead of like everything's cookie cutter.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of tiger rat snakes, you've got some spilotes, right?
I just have a pair. The female's doing really well. The male's like, he just runs. He runs. So he's only eating
Yeah.
live, and you have to leave it in there overnight. The female's very confrontational, so she's easy to get to
Comes
eat.
right up.
Yeah, comes right out. It's more like a stress reaction that's like getting her to eat, I think. But
Yeah.
she's eating, she's doing well. The male's been a pain in the butt, but he's huge. He's like got to be close to 9 feet. But
Damn.
Dang.
like he won't even try to bite me. He just runs away,
Yeah.
runs away. So he's been a pain to get to eat, but
Mm.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
Spilotes are one of my loves when it comes to colubrids, and I don't have any right now, but I used to keep them, and man, I love spilotes a lot. They're such a unique snake. You've never seen a snake eat a rodent so fast in your entire life until you've seen a spilotes eat something, because it touches their mouth and then it's gone like
Yeah,
almost
it's so
immediately.
cool. Yeah, it is cool. But yeah,
Yep.
you're actually the one that put them in my hands the first time.
Yep,
We're doing like a little like show at Bridgewater
at
State
Bridgewater.
College.
Yep, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and I always want them, and I got one a few years ago at one of the reptile expos, and it like didn't even last 24 hours. I was pretty
Yeah,
bummed.
those imports, man, it's a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that day. I brought. I don't remember the. I don't remember what. I remember I brought the spilotes, and I remember you checked it out, and I think there's one other person who wanted to check out the spilotes too, and like John McAllister was there, and everything. So we did like a little tiny demo and just like showed some people on campus some snakes and stuff, and hung out for a little bit. But yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, I like can't believe like how big they are and how light they are. Like they're very like bird-like. They're weird.
Yeah.
Like them.
And when they puff up too, the like triangular shape of their body
Yeah.
is just so unique, because their belly scales are so wide that when they're sitting on you, it's like they just glide. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
they're
that.
very
That's
cool.
that arboreal nature to be able to just weave through branches and
Yeah.
twigs like it's nothing.
And they have like the long feather-like scales. They're just really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope I can get them to do well. So we'll see.
It makes you think of like the what is it? Oh man, I'm probably gonna pronounce it wrong. The Phyrophanics, the bird snakes. I can't remember what the common name is
Oh
on
yeah,
those.
those are
Oh,
really cool
the
too. I've been
Postlenotus.
seeing.
Yeah, I don't know if they degrouped those or did. I don't know what they changed that stuff too
The one that's
much.
like it's
Too
spilotes,
much,
but
yeah.
it's not spilotes anymore.
Yeah, it's like it's not the
Spiranax or
sulfurous.
something,
Yeah,
or
Phyronax, yeah,
yeah,
something like that. The
the
like
little
reddish and gray speckled ones.
yeah.
From the couple people I was talking to about them, they're like, yeah, in order to get them to eat, you have to hold them in your hand and then like whack them with the mouse in order to get them to eat.
I was
And
thinking about trying that with the big male spilotes, but I didn't know if it was
do
like a
it,
disaster waiting to happen because
do it, do it,
he's
do it.
huge. He's huge, but I don't know. Like I would really love to get him off live if I can.
Yeah, if he's a runner, honestly, I would try it, because like I had some when I had the baby spilotes a bazillion years ago. That's how I ended up getting a bunch of them to eat. Was I had to hold them in my hand and then tap them on the sides with the mouse a whole bunch of times. And then eventually they would like defensively bite, and they would bite it and they would hold on to it, and they're like, oh, this is food, and then they'd realize it and like swallow it down. And then I just found out that like a couple of the baby corn snakes. I mean, all these corn snakes are eating great now, but like when I was first getting them feeding, a couple of the ones that were like being picky, I tried that and they took right away. So I was like, I wonder if
Yeah.
this is like the hack that no one talks about.
Yeah.
How do they live in the wild?
Well, in the wild, they're probably eating like little old baby anoles and shit. They're not eating
Yeah,
mice.
right.
So
Yeah. Yeah, but it seems like some people like
funny.
do that even when like they're adults. Like that's like how they get the
Yep.
adults to eat too. It's like seems like a lot of work, but they are cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. It's just like when I hear of like snakes that just run and run and run. Sometimes you gotta like have them restrained in order to get some sort
Yeah.
of direction on them for what they're gonna be eating. You know.
I had one of the baby oxys. That's the only way I could get it to eat, and then like it worked for like 3 times, and then it kind of like tamed down, and it didn't work anymore. But,
That's
Oh my
funny.
god.
but luckily, it started to like drop feed after that. But
You know,
That's good. That's still a
trade offs. That's
success.
okay.
Exactly.
yeah, I
Oh
I
man.
don't know. I'm glad I started keeping colubrids. I wish I had what are they called? The Solomon Island ground boas a few years ago,
Oh hell yeah.
and I had like a gravid import, and I had such a nightmare time with those babies. I wish I had kept colubrids beforehand because I feel like
It would have prepared you a little better.
a colubrid keeper has to be like dealing with those things because like I wish I like had like the scenting and like the cup feeding and
Yep.
all
Right.
that
It's such a
down.
pain in the butt.
I actually did so. I sold like majority of the group to this kid Evan in Maine, but I kept like
Oh yeah.
a
Evan K.
handful. Yeah, Evan K. And
Yep.
I kept a handful for myself. And finally, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna try and see if they'll eat salamanders." And I had 6 out of 6 eat salamanders, and they were dead in 48 hours. So they
Damn.
probably shouldn't be eating
Uh,
salamanders.
Yeah. I wonder if the redbacks or whatever have got some sort of toxin that's not good
Yeah,
for them.
I fed them to garter snakes when I was a kid, but yeah, maybe the garter snakes can handle it. And
Oh yeah, garter snakes can handle all sorts of shit. I've seen garter snakes eat
yeah.
toads, and I'm like, toads are toxic, bro. What are you doing?
YOLO.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh
Damn.
man.
It just makes you
That's
wonder what
awesome.
they're eating out in the wild, you know.
yeah. Oh, well, you know what? You guys had those little Solomon Island horn frogs or something like that
Yep.
when I had them. I was
Yep.
Oh
like,
yeah,
oh, I
yeah,
wonder
yeah.
how much those cost because they look like they're the perfect size.
Yep. And if they have habitat overlap, it probably is what they're eating,
Yeah,
little tadpoles
Yeah,
and little
yeah,
froglets from those.
that's
That would make
true.
sense. Hmm. Hmm. Little things to think
Heck
yeah.
about.
Those
yeah,
are like
man.
another snake that I feel like would be like the perfect pet because like they don't need like a lot of heat. They like do perfect at room temperature.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They're really cool. I think that they don't have the like flashy colors that a lot of people are
Yeah,
into, which is like the one thing that holds them back is they're like
yeah,
perfect size. They are not usually super nippy. They got a
yeah,
really unique shape to their body. Their scales feel really
yeah.
like they're partially keeled and they're like
Yeah,
smooth and also keeled. It's so weird.
Right.
yeah.
And I think that yeah, the babies getting the baby started is a big
Pain in the
to
butt.
do.
It
Yeah, it's a
seems like
big
there's someone on Instagram that seems to be doing well with them. Like,
Stygian exotics.
yeah, I know it
Yeah,
starts with an S. Yeah,
yeah, they're doing really good with them. I know that that Juggernaut Elijah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure he produced the Isabel Islands a year or two ago, and
Yep.
then he produced Viper bows too, and man, there's somebody else too. Trace Harden from Durham, he produced the um the tree boas, Solomon Island tree boas, and
Oh heck yeah.
his group is awesome, bro. His adults are like so freaking cool, and his female's huge. She's like, I think he's got 2 females and 2 males, I think, and he's got some really cool ones, man. And so he's produced the tree boas, and I love Candonia, so I try and follow each of the people who are working with them and doing the thing with them. I'm pretty sure that there's one other person or 2 other people who like I can recall are also breeding them, but like it's on such a small scale that it's like
Yeah.
it's more sporadic. So I think Taylor is working with them too.
Oh yeah. He had gotten one of those gravid, one or two of those gravid imports, Because I remember talking to him after, and he's like, "There's so many babies."
Oh my god, and they're so small. I had
Yes.
quarter-inch holes in the container they were in, and I was
God.
no.
catching them all over my room. It was a nightmare.
Yep.
Nightmare.
Yep.
And I didn't even know any had gotten out because I had like 20 babies, and I was like, oh, this must be all of them. And then I
Nope.
brought my kids downstairs to show them, and my son's like, oh, look, there's some over there. I was like, oh no, oh no.
It's
And there's like
some
10
over
more.
there versus one over there.
Yeah.
It's like, no,
Yeah,
there's
well,
more.
when I first started my room, I had like one of those fans, and they were like all like curled up on like the wire on the fan, and I was like,
Oh,
oh
damn.
my
Oh man.
god.
Sheesh.
Yeah, so there was like a bunch of them on the fan. I was like, oh no, my wife was pissed.
That's
Stay away
crazy.
from that switch, damn it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh man.
Right.
That's nuts,
So
dude.
what other species are you working with right now? Is there like projects that you're working on?
the past few years has been slippery. So you remember Frankie Morrissey?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh
I
yeah.
love Frankie.
So I reconnected with him like 2 or 3 years ago, and that's been a disaster. It's a disaster. He's always sending me home with stuff. He's always like,
Exactly.
oh,
Here, you need.
he's like, oh, I bought a group of these. Take these home. Take these
Yep.
home. So,
Dude, I love Frankie.
yeah. So I have Lake Chapalas I'm trying to breed this year.
Ooh.
Garter snakes. I did Amazons last year, but I only got one
Heck
baby.
yeah.
Mhm.
The rest were slugs, and that was cool to see like the mother like eat all of
Eat
it.
the
Like
slugs. Yep.
there's like nothing because like anyone that doesn't have a camera in their room, that's a
Get
mistake
one.
because like they're
Get one.
so
Yeah.
cheap. They're so cheap now, but
Yeah.
that was like so cool to like watch and see. What else I have going on this year? I'm raising up a bunch of like Porphyraceae stuff. Like I've got Volante, Pultra,
Ooh.
Coxeye.
Hell yeah.
I just got a clutch of Mandarin rat snake eggs, which is kind of cool.
Yes.
Dude, that's
Hell
awesome.
yeah.
And
Those-
our Mandarin rat snakes are king snake. Are they not? Like
Yeah.
they look like they like someone messed up somewhere. I was like, this is not a rat snake. This is a king snake. I don't know. I guess I'm sure there's rules. I'm sure, but I got
Oh man.
some of those. I got a bunch of oxys right now. I have the Prasinum or Pernicium,
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, that's
I've seen
good.
that,
which I don't know if the female's gravid or not. She feels like she's gravid, but I don't know. We'll see.
yeah.
Heck yeah. Dude.
What
I
else
feel
I
like
have?
sometimes when you get into that point of the breeding cycle, like either there's gonna be babies or there's not gonna be babies, man. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. I still have a bunch of boas. I'm trying to like downsize, and I'm just doing like more like weird projects than like
Hmm.
trying to like keep up with the trends because it's so crazy how like
Yeah.
it fluctuates and changes. So now I'm just like trying to like make stuff that I think looks cool and I want to keep. Like I have like
Heck yeah.
some like type 1, type 2 anery cross stuff. I'm trying to see like I have some like really weird looking anery stuff going on. Not that like I'm doing anything with them, keeping it back, and we'll see what happens with that. But I have like a female that should be ready this year, and she almost looks like purple on the sides. Like, so I don't know. I'm excited to see what happens with that. Not that it's like really going to be like something I can like sell. I've been doing a lot of wholesaling with the boa stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Saving me a lot of headaches. I keep some stuff like to do like the shows and stuff, but just trying to like keep it simple and enjoy keeping snakes instead of making it a headache. What else?
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of people are like, man, I want to get into breeding snakes full time because I don't like talking to people. And I'm like, if you don't like talking to people, breeding snakes full time, your whole job is talking to people and selling them snakes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that was definitely like a harsh reality for me. Is like selling snakes is not as fun as making snakes.
Exactly.
They are two
Yeah,
different jobs. Very much
Yeah.
so.
yeah. It is not fun. Everyone wants your snake for $50. Everyone wants to, keep it in a microwave and tell you like, you sold me a bad snake. What do you mean I can't keep it in a microwave?
They're like, I
Oh
put it
my
in for
God.
45 minutes on
Yeah.
high. Why
Yeah,
did it
it's
die? And
fine.
you're like, I said to put it in a PVC enclosure with a heat panel. They're like, that's a microwave. You're like, no.
No,
Well,
it's not.
that's like I don't know. Don't really like arguing with people. That's a lie. I do like arguing with people, but like not like people I'm like selling stuff to. Like, oh well, I heard online that you should keep it like this. Then keep it like that. I don't
Yeah, they
care.
keep
Like,
it like
do
that,
whatever you
bro.
want.
Like,
Do whatever you
Yeah,
want. It's your day. I don't
It's
know.
your day. I'm taking that line at the
Yeah.
next expo I have to vend.
But
It's your day.
but I had a lot of fun at the last show I went to. I did more like trading and I
Heck yeah.
nothing crazy. And I've been making like not like less expensive stuff, but like I'm wholesaling the like expensive stuff for less than I probably would get at the show. But like I feel like it's easier to make the pet type sales at
yeah,
the shows. You know what I mean? Like,
yep,
oh,
Right.
check out this cool albino or this hypo. It's not
yep.
exciting to a lot of the people, but the people that just want a pet snake, like that's what they
And they
want. Like,
can
Very exciting.
afford an albino. Yeah, dude,
yeah,
for sure. Especially albino boas are so eye catching, especially when they're
yeah,
little.
yeah. I feel
Yeah.
like a sun glow boa constrictor is like the coolest boa constrictor because like they still look awesome when they're like big. I don't know.
Yep.
They're underrated.
Yes, for sure. I think it's funny because like so many people are like, "Oh man, I need moon glows," and I'm like, moon glows are cool when they're babies, but then as they get older, they get
Just look like an
significantly
albino.
less. Yeah, they get
Yeah,
significantly less cool looking. And then you get a sun glow, and it's like, oh, it's pretty. It's really pretty when it's a baby, and then it gets older, and like a lot of them get even prettier. They get like
yeah.
more like pink or red on them, and it's like that's still a cool boa, you know?
That's like I kept I'm like I have like a lava line pairing I'm doing this year, but even
Hell
like
yeah.
the past few years I've like held back like a bunch of like really cool pink boas, and like the sun glows are cool, but even like the normal boas that like retain the pink are pretty
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Yep.
The
Yeah,
those
dude, that's
all
awesome.
those cool when the first time I bred BCIs, that was one of the things that caught my attention like right from the rip as I was pulling babies. I was like, oh, look at the pink on this snake.
Yeah.
Like that's different, So yeah, that's definitely cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh.
So,
Hell
are
yeah.
there any other? So, you said you got mandarin rat eggs. That's awesome.
Yep. I got
Hell
They
yeah.
those.
historically are kind of considered like a really hard species to breed, huh?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't like I don't know. I've like been like so much less involved with like which it's like sad kind of like I try to like involve myself like less in the community and like ask less questions because like I feel like it's been more of a headache than a resource now.
Then it's worth, yeah.
And
That's
even
fair.
like
Yeah.
on online I feel like I don't know what it is, it might be like a Safari thing because I'm like an Apple person, but I feel like even like when you like look stuff up online, like there's just like not as much stuff on the internet as there was before. Like I don't know if like all the forums are gone now so you can't even like find the old posts and stuff,
Yeah.
Mhm.
so I've
Yeah,
actually
it's
been like buying a lot of books on eBay.
yep.
That's the
Yep.
way to do it, man. It's as social media is taking over, like all of that, like genuine information that was around 20 years ago that was easy to find online is now like on page 58 of Google search results because it's all just
Yeah,
gets buried under the social media chaos. So
yeah.
yeah, it's definitely a little more frustrating to try to find solid info.
Or like
Yeah.
I don't know, like if I have like a real question I'll just like reach out to someone that like I know like actually has an idea what they're doing. Because again,
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
they're not gonna give you the cookie; they'll just point you in the right direction. You know what I mean? And you kind of
Yeah.
Right.
can figure it out from there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I got to ask, because it's this selfish desire in me. So what attracted you to the Porphyracia? Because that entire species is one that I'm just like, I love those things.
So that's another. I show up at Frankie's house. He has, he's like, oh, I just bought a bunch of these pulchra. He's like, why don't you take this home? Take this home. Because I've always like thought the cockeye were cool. But, like a lot of this like
Yeah.
cool stuff. Like I hate buying snakes online. I hate it. I know it's
Yeah.
like the norm, and you gotta like get over it. But like I've got like a lot of the stuff. Most of like the Oxy stuff I had to get online, but
Yeah,
Mhm.
I try to get stuff at the shows if I can, or like from people, and even if I have to drive 2 hours to
couple
meet them,
hours. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
it's
meet
worth
them
it. Yeah.
because I don't know. There's nothing worse than like, oh, your package is stuck at the Indianapolis hub. Oh, good.
hmm
It's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
great.
Great. Yeah,
Uh,
thanks. Appreciate it. It's only negative 15 degrees in
yeah,
Indy.
that's
That's
yeah,
awesome.
wonderful.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Um, but
Oh
yeah,
gosh.
so Frankie got those in my hands, and then I reached out to Matt Most to get some cockeye, and he
yeah.
was like, "Oh, you're breeding oxys?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, well, you want to trade for some of these?" And so now I have some Porphyracia stuff in the basement now too.
Hell
Dude, hell
yeah.
Yeah,
yeah. I like the Valenti a lot, and then the Laticinctus, I like those a lot too.
the Volante, like that's like another one. Like if people had them in their hands,
Yeah.
they would like appreciate them so much more because like they're crazy. Like if you like actually have them in your hands, they're crazy looking. They're like this
Yeah.
like peanut butter color, and they have
hmm
these like red stripes and these like chocolate colored bands. Like they're insane
Dude.
looking in person, but it's like hard to like appreciate it in a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
And they're such like a unique shape to their head, and like the way that it connects to their body. It's just it is one of those things where you really need to see them in person to like fully appreciate them, because like I think a lot of people just see like pictures of cockeye, they're like, oh, it's like a red striped snake, that's pretty cool, and it's like, no, you gotta like see this in person to see like how vibrant the color is
Yeah,
in
they look
person.
fake. They look
Yeah,
like
Yes.
they
they're not
really
real.
do.
Like when I
Yeah.
opened the box, I was like, "This guy sent me like rubber snakes. Like,
Rubber
what is
snakes.
going on here? Like, what?"
Yeah, because they almost have like a glossy sheen to
Yeah.
their
Yeah,
scales. So yeah, if you pull it out and it's like it happens to catch some light, you're like, oh, what's this weird, like just bizarre moist snake?
yeah, they're really cool though. I like them.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but that's how it happened. What else did Frankie send me
That's
home
fun.
with? A fox snake. That was like another one. Like I never even heard of fox
Oh,
snake
heck
before,
yeah.
and he's like, "Oh, take this snake home." I was like, "Is this?" It's like a because he said like it was like a new hatchling, and he sent me home. I was like, "What is this, a black rat snake?" I was like, "I don't want this. Like, I'm not taking this
Yeah.
home." He's like, "No," and he like pulls out like the adult, and it like has this like crazy copper colored head. I'm like,
Yeah.
"What?
Oh yeah.
Like, what
Yeah.
is this? Like, how are these not more popular? Like, I don't know."
Dude, fox snakes are wholly underrated. They're such a cool species.
Yeah, they really are cool.
Oh,
Heck yeah.
oh, that makes sense that
That's
Frankie
awesome.
would have those.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he always like, yeah, he'll like pull out like, oh, look what I got. I'm like, where do you get this stuff?
Oh man, that's awesome though.
Yeah, and he's awesome. He wants everyone to be like enjoying it. Like he's like, yeah,
Yeah.
take
Yeah,
this home with
yeah.
you. Like, yeah, I got a couple of them so I could send some home to your house. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
I bought extra to hand them out. Don't worry,
Yeah,
it's okay.
yeah, take some over here.
I went to Costco and got all these cockeye. Here, just
Yeah,
take a couple.
yeah,
Bro.
yeah,
Oh man, that's awesome, dude.
Dude, that is
yeah. It's
sick.
funny.
Oh man. Is there another I know you're talking about downsizing, but is there another species that like has your attention that you're like, man, if Frankie gets one of these, I better get a call.
I don't know. I really enjoy the garter snakes right now. I don't know. They're like, I don't know how garter snakes are more popular too. I don't know if it's like the weird legality.
I think
Some of
that's,
the
yeah, it has to
species.
do with the legalities of it. Yeah.
But I don't know. They remind me of lizards. Like they're not even like snakes. They're like little lizards.
hmm They're so
Heck yeah.
active. They're communal. You can
Yeah.
set up basking areas for them, and they'll all utilize it. They are
Yeah.
much more interactive. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like
I
another
think
like the keeping the I've been like cohabbing the Gonyosoma,
Yeah.
even though I thought like, oh, everyone's gonna throw me in prison because I'm cohabbing. Party's over. I'm going to jail. I'm cohabbing. But like, I don't know. Like, I feel like it's like so much more like rewarding. I don't know.
hmm
So, because like I'm giving like all the snakes like bigger spaces because I can like fit more in a space, and I don't know. I feel like they do interact with each other, and like they don't seem stressed. I know some snakes. I tried cohabbing all the Prasinum together, and
No, they
it
can't
not
handle
about it.
that.
Not
doesn't
about
work.
Yeah.
Doesn't work. Yeah.
It's
The
like one of
males.
them gets going, and then it sets them all off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I really like cohabbing. I'm doing Russian tortoises. I would like to like get something going outside for them. Kind of like
That'd be cool.
the guy from New Jersey.
Oh,
I forget his name.
is that
The turtle guy. Garden
Garden
State
Garden
tortoise.
State.
State
Yeah,
Tortoise?
Garden State
Yeah,
Yeah,
Tortoise.
yeah,
yeah.
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 I've been getting inspired by like his setups. Kind of cool. I'd love to
Dude.
like
Heck
do
yeah.
something like that.
There's a one of my buddies up in Maine. I don't know if you'd want me to name him or not, but one of my friends up in Maine, he overwintered his Russian tortoises outside. He's like, yeah, we got 24 inches of snow, but I built them like a subterranean area where they could get to, and they were fine.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Crazy, dude.
Yeah. I burmated them the first time this year.
Yeah,
Which was like really stressful for me because like the winter was so weird. Like I was more nervous because like I was like it's not gonna be
it
cold
didn't get
enough.
cold enough. Yeah,
Right.
So I only like did it for like 6 weeks, and I was like, I can't keep them in here because it's like 55 degrees. It's like
and they're like
Yeah.
thriving. They're like,
yeah,
Mother Russia.
yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah. I'd like open it up, and they're like, oh, they're like awake in here. Like what?
Yep, just
So
fucking doing
I
their
had to
That's
thing.
cut that early this year.
Yeah, there's always next year, you know.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah. My
That's
kids love the
true.
tortoises though. They're like little horses.
Yeah,
You know, you feed them and they chase them around outside.
Heck yeah.
as
They
long
do
as they're
have
not riding them, it's okay.
Yeah,
right. They do have fun personalities, that's for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Are there any other tortoise species that you want to work with?
I don't. Not that like we can. I'd love to do the Egyptian tortoises, but
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening. And then we can't keep the pancake tortoises in mass.
Ooh,
Right.
Yeah,
tomato.
yeah. You remember mass?
Yeah,
Yeah,
where
lots of
they had
rules.
frill dragons banned and shit, bro.
Yeah,
Uh
Uh,
don't miss it.
uh,
Don't miss it.
uh,
yeah.
uh.
But
Don't get me wrong. I miss you guys. I don't miss Massachusetts and New
Right,
England.
right. Oh
That shit was
gosh.
messed up. But hey,
Yeah.
it is what it is. Have you looked at like Herman's tortoises and stuff?
I have. I mean, I actually did. I did get a Western Herman's. It's actually over at Joe Kenny's house. Joe Kenny has
Hey,
Heck
it.
yeah.
um,
Heck yeah.
but I don't know. They're just like they were too hard to like source more of them
yeah,
to like get a group
yep,
together.
true. Those we had some marginated tortoises at Nerd, and those ones were really interesting because like they had like the elongated shells and like the
Yeah,
big flares are on the back marginal scales. Those are really cool too.
yeah. I've been really trying to do like smaller stuff because I
Oh,
like
I
doing
was gonna say you
like
should just go balls to the wall and get an Aldabra.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. nowhere to put it at my house. No.
It'll
It's
make a
okay.
place. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's fine. You
Yeah.
get a baby, you've got at least 10 years before you got to move down south. It's okay.
Yeah, yeah. Before that's like an actual horse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
legit. That one the kids can ride.
Yeah. And you won't need a lawnmower. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Bro.
Oh gosh. It's funny at Tinley I was chatting with Aubrey because he's got his
Yeah.
Aldabra
All
tortoises. And
Dobrans. Yeah.
he's like, yeah, man, I'd never mow the lawn ever.
Yep.
Like that's what I have these for. I'm like, hey, dude, if it works.
I just think about trying to move them, and I'm like, oh man, that stresses me out.
Well,
Dude, he's got to get a U-Haul.
Yeah.
He literally gets a U-Haul to move the big tortoises. It's insane.
Joe has one. He brings it to like the shows and stuff, and like has kids take pictures with it, and it's like,
Yep.
what's that thing weigh? Like a couple hundred
He's like, oh,
pounds?
it's a cool 175. You know.
Yeah, no
It's not.
problem.
It's
no
not
problem.
big yet.
It's a
pretty
boulder.
Big. It's pretty big.
Oh, I know.
Oh,
Yeah, compared to
Yeah.
the little Hermans or Greek
Yeah.
tortoise or something, you're like, oh god.
Yeah,
Oh man.
That's crazy.
yeah. I would really love. I know this is like against the law for reptile keepers, but I would love to do like a huge enclosure with those. What are those? They look like Russian tortoises, but they're from. Oh my god.
Sulcatas, African spur thighs.
No, they're from where the oxys are from.
Oh my God.
I know
I'm
what
fucking
Indonesia,
yes.
but they have.
But
They look like Russian tortoises almost, but they're like
it's not the plowshares, right?
I don't know what they're called, but it'd be cool to do like a big like 10 or 12 foot enclosure and have like a bunch of different like species in there. Be cool.
There's a whole shit ton of them. Yeah.
Like a loop.
I mean, that's basically what we did at the cave up at Nerd. We had fucking 5-6 species in there. We had sulcatas, redfoots, marginateds, Russians, Hermans.
Yeah. Or no, I'm not even thinking that. Like do those and then have like red tail green rats in there and like maybe some like super small lizards that might be able to hide from the red tail green rats.
Just create the entire ecosystem. It's perfect.
Yeah. Something like that would be cool.
You'd have to do all the mostly herbivorous stuff because I know that a redfoot tortoise would see a snake and be like, "Oh, I'm eating that."
Going down, yeah.
Bro, I love redfoots, but oh my god, they're terrifying.
Dude. Yep. Don't take your eyes off them.
Yeah.
Oh, they'll grab you.
Oh
Sometimes. Yeah.
Sometimes. If they're hungry enough or you look good enough.
Yeah. I would always have to tell like during the summertime if like women went on the tour and they were wearing sandals and they had like red or blue nails, I'd be like, look, when we go in the cave, you cannot stand around because the tortoises will bite you.
That's true.
They see it, they'd be like strawberries, blueberries, and they would just go after them.
Yeah.
And the redfoots are relentless, man. They would just truck after you the whole time.
The tortoises are fast when they want to be.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
And when it comes to something like food, like that's when you see the most stubborn elements of tortoise personality. I don't care where it is. I saw it. It's in that direction. I'm going that way until I can get it. Like, oh, there's not a door or a shoe that can stop me. I'm going.
Disturbing.
Right. Oh gosh. Too funny.
Bro. The sulcatas would literally open up the doors to the cave. Like there was a couple times where I come like first thing in the morning, I start walking down the hallway and I'm like, there's a tortoise in the hallway. There's 2 tortoises in the hallway. There's 6 tortoises in the hallway. How did they get in the hallway? And then there's the sulcata like holding the door open. I'm like, what are you doing, bro?
The great escape.
I used to love that bird. You guys, the capybara?
Kookaburra.
Oh, kookaburra.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Hell yeah.
That was
Sydney
cool
was the bomb. Very loud. Very, very loud. And it would be loud at random times, like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Ugh.
I just
Can't
picture if
do
you
it,
had one of
man.
those in your house, man, like there's no place in your house you could be without it being
Hearing it.
really freaking loud. Yeah, you'd
Yeah.
hear it everywhere.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Oof.
Yeah.
No, pass.
Okay.
Pass on that. Pass on that. But heck yeah, man. We've hit our hour mark, which is crazy. It doesn't feel like an hour has gone by,
Yeah, for real.
which is good. Which is good. But heck yeah, Jared. So we ask all of our guests a final culminating question.
All right.
One final question. So that question is, why are you not breeding ball pythons? No, that question.
No, that's
That
not.
question is. No, the question is, what in the realm of reptiles, be it something that's in your collection or maybe something you've seen online, what in the realm of reptiles has you excited about reptiles right now?
I don't know. I kind of like what I have right now. I like the stuff I have.
Heck yeah, dude.
Those Japanese forest rat snakes are cool, but I'm not
Ooh.
trying to buy expensive snakes right now. know?
Totally fair.
Try and
I
enjoy
hear
what I
you.
have.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, producing red-tailed green rats is always exciting, and then if you're working with mandarins and all that stuff, man, that is exciting in its own right, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is really
Absolutely.
freaking cool. And if people want to see the snakes that you're working with and what you're doing, where should people follow you online?
Jared Snake Room on Instagram. It's like, so my family members and stuff can stop complaining that I'm posting pictures of snakes.
See,
Yeah.
my family members, I was like, yeah, you can just unfriend me. It's okay. We're still
Yeah.
cool, but like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
They
Like the
know.
people I work with are like, why do you have so many snakes? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
They're like, why are you on your third husband? Like, leave me alone. What are you doing?
right? Yeah. Why do you like husbands so much? It's funny.
Oh gosh.
Right.
That's all right.
Well, thank you so much for
Oh, yeah,
coming on,
dude.
man. I
Yeah,
appreciate you.
man.
It's a good time. And yeah, man. Any closing remarks you'd like to leave for the people?
Yeah, if you offer me $200 or $150 for red-tailed green rat snake, I'm gonna just mail them to free to Rob and Jeremy.
Yes, somebody submit those offers.
Okay, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Heck yeah, dude.
Appreciate you. And I will we'll catch you next time.
All right, later, guys.
See
Bye.
ya.
Bye.